Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another Scale Riders podcast episode. We are number 204. I'm your host, 65 Lokes, with my guest, Matt, all the way in Northern California. What's up, man? How you doing?
Good, man. You?
Hey, doing good, man. Doing pretty good. I'm excited, dude, because I see what's behind you. Lots of builds. I got to see some of these builds out at NNL West earlier in the uh, in the year. I mean, I would say maybe it's been about a month since I saw you at the NNL West.
Wasn't it was the end of January, right?
Yeah, it hasn't been that long, but I feel
Yeah,
like
we're
this
coming up
month,
on 3 weeks, I think, something like that.
yeah, it's been flying by. So it feels like it's been going by pretty
Right?
quick.
Yeah, it seemed like it was last weekend.
Yeah, that's cool, man. I mean, it's crazy because I think back, I still remember around the time when I met you, and this had to been obviously before the pandemic, but I remember going up to NNL West and being in line, and I ran into Gavin, and you were hanging
Oh
out.
yeah.
And
Yeah, he
this,
came and stayed with me that year.
yeah, that might have been
That
what,
was the
like,
first NNL I think he went to, and I
mhm.
was living in the old house, and I told him, I said, if you come out, just stay with me. So
Oh,
he
that's
just came to
dope.
my house. I still had to go to work and stuff, but it was cool having
Yeah.
him over, and we were just sitting there goofing off for a week or so. So it
That's
was
cool,
pretty fun.
man. Yeah, was that like around 2018 or
I think
2017?
so. Yeah, he would remember. I think I think it was 18,
Mhm.
if I can recall.
Yeah,
Uh,
what a trip. Yeah, because I still remember that, like just being out there and seeing you guys,
yeah,
and meeting you there and then just like in person. And then, obviously when you guys were set up, you guys had your builds kind of near each other. So
yeah,
I was
that's
able to
right.
like
That's right.
see all this stuff there. And even during that year when I brought builds, my builds at that time were more like lowrider
They were. Yeah, I remember
style.
those because I think you had the Hudson and some other stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm a paint guy, so like parking next to the lowriders and stuff is always nice because it gives you that inspiration to try and apply it to something else. So I've adapted a lot of metal flake to some of my cars.
Yeah. Oh, dude, that's so cool,
It's
man.
kind of an addiction now. Like I flake everything, when I
Uh-huh.
car parts or whatever I can come up with, I'll flake it first and then go after that.
Yeah,
But
tell us about like your setup. Like, what's typically your setup, as far as like airbrushing, when it comes to like
um,
your process of painting your cars.
so I mean, normally I just use like Tamiya primer from a jar. I have all my stuff here, so I'll just kind of pull it out as I go. But it's just this Tamiya primer here. Um, but sometimes like if you wanted just like a quick and dirty prime, and you're gonna sand back this stuff, Napa uh color line, this stuff's great. And it dries in like 5 minutes and you can wet sand it or just dry sand it in a couple minutes. It's great. Um, but after that, I'll use higher end stuff like House of Color generally. Or I use a lot of tropical glitz actually. Like I think they're white base coats and stuff like that because um it's good paint and it doesn't have any, I get some problems with the lacquers, like the coverage. You have to put a lot of it on, where the stuff that I get from Tropical Glitz or House of Color, it covers quick, one or two passes and you're generally covered for the full base coat. So um yeah, and then I'll if I'm doing flake, black base coat, silver flake, Tropical Glitz on that, the .04 micro. Works out pretty good. I got a car back there that's right in the middle, and it was kind of the
Yeah,
first thing that I
bu-
flaked, a blue and silver Skyline.
bust it out, bust it out.
Oh, okay. Hold on one second. So this one, I looked at the car and the decal set was so simple that I looked at it and thought, man, it would be a lot better if I flaked that instead. And I really like how this thing turned out. So when you hit it with some hard light, it'll, I don't know if you can see it, but it'll really, it's got a lot of dance to it, especially in the sun. But it was 100% coverage metal flake. And then I just masked off all the designs myself. And then I just used a couple of the number decals and stuff, but the design is based directly off of the original decal set that came with it. But it turned out pretty good. I don't do a lot of wet sanding because it's not something I'm good at. So I'll when I clear, I'll let it sit for a week. And then I will I'll wet sand it and then I'll clear it again. It's a flow coat. And most times it prevents the wet sanding because the polishing thing is not something I'm very good at. So I've kind of found my workaround so that I don't have to do any polishing on my cars. But overall, they turn out pretty good. Some of them, they get the clear coat shrink, but that's all right.
Yeah, I mean, when I've seen these cars at the show, to me it looked like they were polished the way
No,
I
no,
saw
no,
them,
no.
dude.
There's only the big Porsche, that big orange Porsche that I did, that Jägermeister one. The roof is polished and that's it. But the rest of it, I did anything I could to avoid polishing on it because it never goes well for me.
Yeah, you know that was always a fear for me with the polishing,
Yeah.
and most of the models, you know, I would do the same, just hit them with clear, and then after that, just give it some time, and I would do like a light sand, and then I'd hit it with like a flow coat after that.
Yep.
I was
Yeah.
using like the House of Color clear, and it wasn't until just recently where I was like instructed on how to do the polishing, and and I was told like what to get, that I was like, all right,
Yeah.
I'm gonna go ahead and take that plunge, use a rotary tool and do all that. And dude,
That's
I
what I
mean,
did last night.
I was a little worried, at first, but then once I started going and I started to really see what was going on, I wasn't too scared anymore. I
Yeah.
just overcame that fear, and now I'm just like, all right, so I'm gonna have to like send you some pics and stuff.
Oh
Some
yeah,
info on
definitely.
that from
I
my
know
end.
one of them. I can't remember which one it was. Oh, it's a car that's inside. It's a Porsche. It comes apart, so I just left it inside. But I did have to do some touch up polishing on that because there was a bunch of dust and stuff in it. Because I paint in an open garage, as you can see. So I don't have a spray booth or anything like that. So I kind of, when I have to fix stuff, I'll do it. But I try my best not to do the whole car because I've sanded through too many corners to continue trying to do it. So I think at some point this year, I'd like to, after going to NNL, you get a lot of inspiration to build stuff. So I think this year, I want to do at least 6 cars would be nice. Progressively more ambitious, but I've got that police car going and I got the flashing lights and all that stuff. And that's one of the things I've been wanting to do for a while. And I was finally able to build the circuit boards and stuff. And now I just have to finish the car because it's all wired up and ready to go. So it's I'd like to do things I haven't done before. I can paint, that's not a problem, but doing more detailed stuff, doing engines, lights, and as you saw, I painted some bases for my displays, and it's just more things I'd like to do. Next time NNO comes around, I'd like to have a lot more stuff to show people.
No, that's cool, man. And like on that GTR, that Hako, like the flake that's on that, is that the one from Tropical Glitz that you
Yeah.
use?
Yeah, it's the micro, the 0.04, the small one.
Yeah, and
It's really good stuff.
are you using like a flake gun, or what are you using to shoot the flake?
No, I on an airbrush, if you get a tip that's like a 0.5, or if you got something a little bit bigger, I used a Badger on that, I think. If you just slide the needle back, it'll leak, clear coat or inner coat, whatever you use to spray it. But I'll pull the needle back and I'll just hit it, and then the second you hit it with air, it comes out. It's not a very conventional method, but it's how I do it sometimes.
Oh yeah, yeah. I've used some of those Badger, like those cheap
Oh,
airbrushes,
dude, yeah, I have the
from like
Badger
Harbor
here
Freight,
too.
just to
Yeah.
shoot the flake. Like they're like throwaway
Yeah.
airbrushes.
This is the one that if you want to shoot some flake, this thing's got like a 2 millimeter tip. It's huge. It's just an old Badger. I don't even know what this thing is. It's huge. Oh, sorry. It's a Pache type VL. The tip is huge. It's a single action, but man, it really dumps the flake on if that's what you're going for.
Oh, that's dope.
So,
Do you know if that one goes up to like a 7, or is it just a 5 on that?
well, I normally spray this Iwata. It's HPCS. It's a 0.5 I use for almost everything. This one, I mean, visually the tip looks like it's about 2 millimeters. It's huge. But it's a siphon fed, so it's a little easy to clean out. you know, you can just clean out the little bottle afterwards, but it's been a while since I've flaked anything because it makes a huge mess and I don't currently have a spray booth. So
Dude, nah, it does. I remember when there was this product that came out that was Coast Airbrush was advertising to shoot dry flake.
oh yeah, the dry flake guns. Yeah, yeah.
Dude, and I remember buying like the adapter, but this was for the airbrush because they also have the
Oh, really?
guns. But I got the one for the airbrush and
Uh-huh.
I copped it, I connected it, and I remember using it in this little space where I would be painting from. Dude, it made a huge mess, like
Oh, yeah.
even worse.
Dry flake guns are epic mess. Like
Like
the good thing though is it's not sprayed with intercoat or clear, so it cleans up fairly easily with a vacuum. But when you start spraying with like intercoat, it starts to stick to things and it just makes a huge mess that takes forever to clean up. So in most cases, it's worth it. But I'm not in an optimal, location to make that happen right now. But I'll still find a way to do it. It's just I prefer not to right now. So
yeah,
stick to like standard metallic coats like Tropical Glitz. I use a lot of their paint, but it's good
uh,
stuff. So I'll keep
that's
supporting
cool.
it. So
Yeah, I want to know about your history, bro. Like, when did you get started? How'd this all start for you with model building?
so it's not a very extensive history, honestly. It's my dad's been building for a long time, like since he was a kid, maybe 45, 50 years, something like that. But he's always been a plane guy. He got us snap kits when we were kids, and then about 8 years ago, he bought me when I was into RC cars, I was doing a lot of RC drift stuff, and he bought me a Tamiya R34 Skyline, and I kind of started on it, but then he left, and he wasn't around to give me tips so that we could build it at the same time, and it got put away for years, and then I would say like 5 years ago, something like that. I started buying kits myself after having built another different Skyline, and from there it kind of just spiraled out of control, if you will. So it's just mostly like a import car thing, but it was all my dad. I would say it's his fault. But I have no regrets for getting into the hobby. It's a lot of fun, long day at work. I just come and sit in the garage and work on my cars for a little while. And just build, and then when I'm not building, I'll try to take some time. Like I'll talk to Casey and we'll, work on 3D print designs and stuff because I do a lot of printing as well. And that really allows you to do a lot more with your cars.
Was
As you build them.
Did your dad ever trip out though? Like when he started to take notice that you were now on your own getting into this, and now
Oh,
you guys both had
so I've
something in
got,
common?
yeah. So there's four of us. I have three brothers, and I'm the only one that got into this because it was just him and my grandpa. And I'm the only one that kind of followed suit, but my brothers are family guys, and I'm just the one with, three dogs and cars. So it's I got nothing but spare time. So, if this is how I spend my spare time, I'm happy with it. So um he came out to NNL. I think you may have.
Yeah, I met him. I met your dad before.
Yeah, that's what I
I
thought,
know.
because he came out that one year that you guys were up.
Yeah.
But that's the first car show he'd ever been to.
Oh, dope.
So he almost exclusively builds planes. He builds cars too. He actually built a couple of the cars that are on the table here.
Mhm.
But with him, he's real picky. He builds a lot of really high end planes and stuff. And if he gets one thing wrong, the whole kit's scrapped to him.
He's done.
Yeah. So
On to the next.
he's got a couple of these cars, and he was happy with them, but he sent them off to me. And then I've got this one right here.
Oh, let's see it.
It's a Battlefield Mercedes. He did this whole thing, and oh gosh, where was it? I can't even tell where it is because there's not actually anything wrong with it, but he wasn't happy because he got a drop of glue on the paint somewhere. But you could look at this thing for an hour and you would never even see where the glue was. But he sent it to me because he was unhappy with how the glue got on the paint. So that's okay with me though, because he builds really nice cars. So having, some of the stuff that he's built on display in my cabinet is kind of nice. gives you something to work towards, I guess.
Yeah, man, that's cool. And as far as like when you decided to get on, like online social media and like networks, was Instagram like the first kind of landing place where you were, showcasing your bills, or were you in other communities elsewhere?
No, that was it. And actually the whole Instagram thing started because of the car I had, and people had to push me into it because I'm not a big social media guy by any stretch of the definition. And I had the Toyota Cressida with all the hearts and stuff on the side. And that's kind of what spiraled that. And then I started building little cars and they kind of got noticed as well. But it's not one of those things that I don't have an account exclusive to anything, I'll put anything I'm interested in up,
Mhm.
whether people enjoy it or not is up to them. But uh
Yeah, I
a
still
lot of it
remember that
seems,
that
yeah,
car, dude, because you sold it, right?
yeah, I sold that. You've probably seen the progression of my car purchasing and selling in the last year or so.
Yeah,
I
a
got
lot of it.
I sold the Cressida and I bought a 97 Toyota Mark II
Mhm.
from Japan. I also had I had a 240 SX that I got. Um, Most people probably wouldn't believe me, but I bought it like 2 years, 3 years ago for like $700. Um, and I got that from a guy that bought it back in '96, a year after it was new. And it was a guy I worked with. And from the day I started working at the lab, I saw the car and I said, "Hey, who owns the car?" So I had to go find him. And every day until he retired, I bugged him, "Hey, if you sell the car, call me first." And a year after he retired, he did. He called me and he says, "Hey, car's for sale if you still want it." I said, I got cash." And sure enough, he got, I got it cheap because it got backed into by a garbage truck. So the bumper of the garbage truck hit the fender and then it hit the door, which doubled the repair value. And it salvaged the car out, but it wasn't in a major accident. It just got backed into. So I was happy to pay. He originally wanted $1,500, but he says, "If you do the salvage title paperwork and inspections and stuff, I'll give it to you for 700." So okay, that's fine with me. And I found a guy that he was gonna cut it up and turn it into a Rocket Bunny S14. He's got a crash GTO with the LS and T56 and all that. So he's gonna swap everything out anyway. And he ended up, paying me at my asking price uh for the car. So I took that money and I bought another 97 Toyota Mark II, the blue one. Because I bought it with it's got a single cam 2 liter, it's a gutless car, but I had a 1J from a chaser in my storage that I was gonna swap into the 240 SX, but I wanted a Mark II because I'm a Toyota guy. So I sold the Nissan, bought that, and now I have most of the parts to put this 500 horsepower motor into my daily driver like an idiot. So
Damn, and that's the car you took to the pizza party too,
that's
right?
the one. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
the
yeah.
blue one you saw.
Yeah,
Um,
that's tight.
I used to have 4 cars. Now I got two because I just sold 2 more. I sold one of the Mark IIs and I sold my Lexus to buy a Toyota Aristo 1997.
Crazy. Yeah.
So it's a GS 300, but in Japan they were offered with a twin turbo engine.
Uh-huh.
So I can't afford a Supra, but I can afford an Aristo, so that's what I bought.
Yeah.
I got word this morning it'll ship out from Japan in 10 days, so it should be here midway next month. Hopefully.
Dang. Yeah,
So
yeah.
next time you
Hopefully.
see me at NNL, I'll be in something else again.
Yeah, next year, man, when I go
Yep.
back, you'll be like, check it out. I
Oh
got the
yeah.
new
Oh,
car.
it'd be a lot faster this time. So we
No,
were
that's
driving
pretty cool.
NNL in the blue car because it's on really stiff suspension, and a couple
Yeah.
of my cars fell victim and broke in the trunk.
Oh
So
man.
the yellow Toyota truck came apart. I had to glue
Uh,
like basically the whole bottom of the truck back together. And then what else fell
yeah,
casualty?
but show us the Toyota truck.
Oh, let me get it out. It's in a big case with the green car. So hold on one second.
Yeah, let's check that out right there. Yeah, let me shout out some people right now. We got some people in the chat. What's up to Ryan, Slowly Models, Gary Seeds, Snacks. What's up, guys? Hope you guys are doing well. Ruben Martinez and everyone tuning in. At some point, I'm gonna ask you guys, obviously questions. So if you guys got those, please, you know, plug them in, and then I'll make sure to ask Matt. Right now, he's gonna be ready to show his the next build right here. Take it away.
So here's that little Toyota truck that got glued back together. It's the Aoshima truck, but I could take it out of the box if you want, but it's got much wider tires on it. And when I went to Hawaii, I got really addicted to this Hawaiian style truck where it's all these old Toyotas, but they put, 15-inch wide wheels on it with really skinny tires, so it looks stretched. And it was something that I kind of grew to like. And I got the kit and it was cool, but the wheels were too narrow for me. So that was kind of my venture into 3D printing, because I already do a lot of design work and stuff at work. So coming up with the wheel design for this, I just copied what was in the kit, but I just made it like 8 millimeters wider. And it gave me a much better result. So, and from there, instead of buying kits just for the tires, because these are actually stretch rubber tires, I took time after that, after I finished this truck, and I designed Super Swamper boggers and the regular Super Swampers. So now I can print tires and wheels and not have to sacrifice the kit to get parts out of it, because I don't like doing that. I like to have complete kits ready to go. But it worked out pretty good. I just need to build another truck. That I got to get that 4Runner that they came out with, because I think that would look pretty good next to this with my tires on it.
Yeah, that's tight. Yeah, I like that case. You have them both cars in there, man.
Hobby Lobby, man. These things are great, and they're permanently marked down on price too. So the big ones are like $10 and the small ones are like 6 or 7.
Yeah, damn. Yeah, I normally get my cases from there too for
Yep.
the models. It's been a minute though. I haven't gone.
They don't always have them either, because I'll go buy, a few at a time, but they went for a period of time where they didn't have the 24 scale size boxes. They only had 32nd scale and then 18th. So I had to dig for I had stocked up on them, which is what I tend to do.
Yeah.
And I started running out, so they got them back in and I bought all of them. So
Yeah, I was trying to find to see if I could carry some of those, because I really like.
Oh yeah, I tried to find them outside the Hobby Lobby website, but no dice.
Yeah, nah. I think they own a company that makes it for them, right. Specially for them. And the only ones I could get are the ones from AMT. But I have some of those from back then, and those things are always coming apart.
Oh, do they really? Because I got a bunch of those too.
And I don't know if they're old or what, but every time I'm like carrying a model, like I always drop.
Yeah, that'll happen on these clear ones too. So you have to be really careful. On mine, I'll tape the bottoms on.
Yeah.
I've had the bottoms fall out before. Luckily, nothing broke, but it's you skip a heartbeat when you see a car fall to the floor. So
hell yeah, dude. It's like, what the hell? What's going on?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. So model building and like the 3D printing, when the 3D printing, revolution started to happen, were you excited for that? Or
I kind of wanted to get into it anyways, because it does make parts a lot easier to have. For a while, the little Aoshima 14-inch wheels, when I initially got into this, they were a little hard to find. And then now they go on this production spree. So they'll release, 6 sets of wheels again, and they do it like every year. So they're easy to get now, but back when I got into it, it wasn't so easy. So that's where I was designing my own wheels and tires and printing my own stuff, because it was hard to find. Instead of, paying $15 or $30 or whatever it was a set, you can print 4 or 5 sets of wheels and it costs, very little in comparison. And being that I do design work, it was a lot easier to step into this and kind of fall right into the path of getting this stuff to work. And now I print a lot of different parts, and I get a lot of Casey's files because his design work's amazing. So it's something I would recommend if anybody has the patience to learn how to use Fusion or SketchUp or whatever. 3D printing is definitely going to be the way that everything goes, for sure. Because you've seen, like, there's a lot of guys out there printing full kits, bodies and everything. And I have a feeling that's kind of where this is going to go. So it's just nice to step into it before everybody else. So I'm kind of well versed in how to get all this stuff to work.
Yeah, that's pretty dope. You had told me earlier you were working on an engine that you had printed.
Yeah.
Show us.
This is Casey's new 4AGE. It's the chrome on the throttle bodies is still wet, but it goes together really nice. and the prints are really good. And if I had a better computer, I would print more at a time, but I just print two at a time right now, and now I need to build a Corolla for that to go into.
That's cool. And that car, like when you're gonna, I mean, that engine, when you're gonna put it in the car, are you gonna pretty much scratch build like the whole engine bay as
Yeah,
well?
yeah, oh yeah. Um, Designing stuff like that is a little bit out of my wheelhouse. I'm a lot better at like wheels and tires, and other small pieces that I can kind of work my way around. But scratch building it's not something I've done a lot of, but I can do it. It's just sometimes you kind of run out of patience, because things don't always go the way you want it to go. But take a break from it, come back to it, and it'll happen. So not too big of a deal.
No, that's pretty cool. Yeah, because for a lot of these builds, I do want to eventually start adding even engines myself,
Oh yeah.
and I'm always like thinking like, all right, for sure, you gotta create an engine bay for that as
Yep.
well.
Yeah, some guys are printing engine bays and stuff too, but I've seen a lot of guys scratch build them and they turn out just as good. So there's a couple guys out there that I kind of keep up with, like Styrene Engineer. His scratch building is from nothing is amazing. And he started building a car recently and it's just as good. So um I think with a little bit of patience and just kind of a little research to figure out what you want to build and just think you know, a logical approach to doing it, you can kind of come up with anything out of styrene, which is nice, but it's a lot more patience required than it is for 3D printing and design stuff, at least for me.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And as far as like your builds, I mean, from what I saw, seeing them at the pizza party, that was like the place where I really got to get really close to see all your builds because the
Mm.
setting there,
Yeah, yeah.
it's like very chill. Everyone's just talking and hanging out, and
Mhm.
you have that opportunity to look at everyone's cars up close because
Yeah.
they're all set up there. And I
Mhm.
noticed a lot of yours. There's like a lot of little Easter eggs everywhere. You see a lot of cool detail stuff in
Oh,
there. That to me, I'm just like, yo, this is like what people put in their real cars.
yeah. There's a couple staples I like to have because I really like that like Kaido Racer style car in Japan. And a big thing that they have is those big crystal shift knobs. Let me see if I can find one for you that I've got.
Yeah, I was like, yo, I like those that you make.
The one with the painted base here.
Yeah,
Uh,
let's see. All right, let me
Hold on one second. Let me pull the
maybe
car
you
out because it's inside the car is where I'm kind of going with this here. So what I like, the staple of all my cars is I put Hart steering wheels. You can barely see it, but inside you can see the big crystal shift knob. And I kind of do those on all my cars, whether it's the big polka dotted van or, a newer car. I think the Toyota Arista right here has it as well. You can kind of see. I'll pop this one out too. I have a feeling I'm going to drop a car tonight. All right, here we go. Yeah, so this is kind of like the real car I'm waiting on from Japan too. But inside of here, it's the same. It's got a blue crystal shift knob and a light blue steering wheel, Hart steering wheel. But it's one of those things. I just print a ton of Hart steering wheels and I just put them in everything. So you can, if you can't tell it's my car from the outside, you can definitely look at the steering wheel and the shift knob, and it's probably going to be the same on all of them. So it's it's kind of cool. The whole the Hart steering wheel thing started because I do a lot of like welding and stuff at work, and I was at home, and like in the lowrider culture, they have like the small wheels or they have the Hart wheels, the small donuts and all that stuff. I ended up making a Hart steering wheel for the Cressida that ended up being super popular. And that's kind of what fueled the fire for these printed ones. And I put Hart steering wheels in everything now because despite the look of it, the Hart steering was actually kind of comfortable because you can plop your hand right in the middle on the top and you're just cruising.
yeah, it makes a lot of sense
Yeah.
being able to
It's,
use one of those.
it's definitely weird to drive with though. I wouldn't recommend it for a daily driver, but I drove to LA for Toyota Fest 2 or 3 times with a Hart steering wheel. So it's
Mm,
not too bad.
nice. Man, you gotta show us the van now. I keep looking at it
Oh,
right behind
hold
you.
on one second. The
Yeah, I
van
think
is,
it's so rad.
it was, I wish they'd come up with this kit again, because they've got the high ace, but they don't have. This is from the Vanning series. Um, and it's not, I can't open it all up, but inside it's I did a full like tuck interior, so it's got the craft foam, and I matched the pattern that's on the wall, so the whole inside of the van is like a square tuck. And it's got lights and everything, so all the tail lights and stuff light up. It's just not hooked up right now. I gotta go get a battery pack and all that stuff, but I wish they'd make this kit again. This thing was really fun. I just don't think they're gonna do it because this kit, it's really old. It's an old it's from the Vanning series. I think this was number 3 or something like that, out of 3. But it was, that one was pretty popular because it's so unique. It was selected, I think 2 or 3 times for Model Cars magazine. Actually, the first time I brought it out was when my dad was here, and in the magazine, his picture was right next to mine of his brown. He had a Foos truck, the 56. And the first show we went to together, we ended up in the same magazine, same page, right next to each other. So that was pretty cool.
Damn, that's dope, man. That's a
Yeah.
good memory right there.
It is, yeah. I bought several copies of that magazine. So my mom's got one,
Mhm.
dad's got one, and whoever else wanted it. But it was just cool for me because it's not something that everybody gets to say they got to do with their dad. So
Yeah, dude. Definitely, man. That's what's up. Yeah, I mean, I can only imagine, dude. He must be like proud, but also trip out like how far
yeah,
you've gone with all your builds, you know?
he likes the stuff I do. It's a little bit wild for him, but
Mhm.
he's a hot rod guy, but he likes it, what I come up with in terms of like designs, and I'll ask him questions on what he thinks and kind of mix ideas with what he thinks, and I'll kind of produce it and see what he thinks overall when I'm done. Like this Celica right here. I just asked him when his birthday was, but it was 58. So he was born in 58. So I put 58 on the car kind of for him. So it's well, it's just one of those small details most people wouldn't recognize, but it's one of those things when he looks at it, he'll know, he'll remember it. So, but I did the matching base. I got this idea from this young fellow out in Florida, Sarah built. He was doing dioramas on these little boxes, and I thought, oh man, that's a good idea. So I pulled this car out because it's the most recognizable in terms of pattern. So I painted the base to match the car. I got to re-clear coat it again, but I think I'm going to go ahead and do another car next. And I think it's going to be that blue and silver Skyline because I need to flake something here pretty soon. But at some point, I think that could be a whole separate hobby. Honestly, you could paint a base to match every single car, and it would just be a cool display piece.
Yeah, that's a whole separate thing. You know, like that case. So the bottom piece, is
Mm.
that the piece that comes with the case?
Yeah.
Like
Oh
that
yeah.
little, it's like a cardboard material.
No, 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 no. The acrylic cases from Hobby Lobby are full acrylic.
Okay.
So
'Cause I
yeah, the
remember,
bottom is clear. Sometimes they
yeah.
don't fit very good, so
Hmm,
they fit a little loose. That one's really loose, so if I were to pick it up by the lid, it would fall off.
hmm.
Um, but they're super easy to paint. You just hit it with a 600 grit, prime it, and you're off to the races.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I was wondering about that because like I've purchased some of their cases before, you know, when they come with that little mirror,
Yes. Oh yeah.
little material
One of
on
the
there. And I
cars I
thought it
just
was
got
that
out
at
of.
first.
Yeah. So let me find it for you. There's a car over here that's got that.
Mhm.
Oh man, I can't. Oh, it was the Aristo. You can see here. I kind of left it covered up, but it's got you can see the silver chrome base in there.
Yeah, you could peel that off and then
Yeah,
it's all
those are the ones
chrome.
that cost more. They're like $10, and while it's still cheap, I'd rather just pay the 6 for the one that doesn't have it.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
That's right. Yeah, I need
but
to get some, man. I need to get more
oh,
more
I'd recommend it to anybody. They're
cases.
really good cases, and they stack nice because I use IKEA glass cabinets, so you can stack instead of 3 cars on a shelf, you can put 9 cars on a shelf in these boxes.
Damn.
Yeah, you can get quite a few cars in one display cabinet, like 36 or something like that. And they're all visible, which is really nice.
Yeah, that's cool, man. And like, how do you pick your cars? Like, as far as a year, like, let's say, like this year, like, have you selected what cars you want to build? Like, how do you get into that?
I'm one of those guys that I only build one car at a time. If I start two things, I'll never finish the second one. So I just kind of freestyle. And actually what I do a lot is I ask a lot of my friends to get their input because a lot of the guys I know, they kind of understand my taste and they'll give me some suggestions and they'll pick, you know, three or four cars and then I'll just pick one from that. So I have so many kits that picking something can be a little bit difficult sometimes because I've got so many I had to make an inventory list. So I stopped buying duplicates.
Damn. Do you ever like take photographs of like everything stacked up just to
I wish I could. There's like 50 boxes of
Damn,
kits. Yeah.
that's a lot, man. Do
It's like
you,
1,000 kits.
what do you do when you're working on a build and then you reach that like point where you're kind of stuck, where you need to push through but you're not pushing through and you're just kind of idling, like you want
Oh,
to finish it but you can't. What do you do there?
like the loss of motivation kind of thing. Seeing other people's stuff get built. The big one though is like you know Alex, El Hendis.
Yes. Mhm.
He his model car pizza or not pizza, but cars and coffee at the local hobby store. Those are kind of nice because he gets a lot of guys out there that are really good at building. And when you see their stuff done, especially one of the guys up here, Patrick, he turns out really nice cars. And every time you see one of his, you kind of get that fire under your ass to start building something else. Because if he's got the whole family and everything and he's still getting stuff done, I got no excuses, man.
Yeah, no, yeah, that's crazy. So like you living in Northern California, what city are you located
I'm
in?
in Dublin, so East Bay.
Dang. And like out there, as far as like, like the community goes, as far as like model building, is everyone kind of spread out, like living in different cities? Because I know Alex is out in Oakland, right?
He is, yeah, that's about 15 minutes away.
Oh, okay. Not
Yeah,
too
he's
far.
not that far. Uh, yeah, I don't know a lot of builders out here, honestly. I don't think I've really met any in this area. San Jose, Patrick is down there. Alex is in Oakland. There's a couple guys near me, but um, they'll build cars on occasion, but they're more armor guys, tanks,
Mhm.
and stuff like that. But they're really good to talk to because if you ever like if you build a race car or something, which I plan to do, I'd like to weather it so it looks like it survived a 24-hour race or something like that.
Yeah.
Those are the perfect guys to know because the tank guys are the best weathering guys I've ever met. Um, and if you when I need to get tips, I definitely go to them first.
Mhm.
And they're all regulars. One of them even works at the local hobby store as like a just a Saturday thing.
Mhm.
And he's real good to talk to because he experiments with all sorts of paints and weathering stuff and he's real good. So I always keep in contact with the kind of everybody, not just the car guys.
Yeah. I remember there was a model shop that closed Northern California not too long ago, maybe like I think I'm pretty sure before the pandemic. Um, but I don't know the name of it, but I remember
I
Luis.
think D&G Hobbies closed.
Maybe I remember Luis went, and another friend of mine went the days before they closed down, and they were
Gosh, if they know what it is,
taking photos
the
outside of the
D&G's all I
spot.
know of, and then uh we have like Sheldon's Hobbies, but that's still around, but he's an RC car guy.
Yeah,
But the
no,
one I go to is Hobbies Unlimited, and you know, I've known that guy essentially my whole life because my dad has gone there before I was born,
mhm.
and we've been going in there. I'm 37, and I would say I've been going there for 36 years.
Dang, right
So
on,
we would
dude.
go and terrorize the store, and Dad would bring us in.
Yeah,
We would just hang out. Dad goes there to hang out, and when he comes into town, that's what we go do. Is we go get breakfast with the guys, and after we get breakfast, we just hang out in the shop for a few hours and kind of shoot the shit.
yeah,
It's
damn,
just a good time, it's just to hang
yeah,
out on
yeah,
Saturday morning, and when it's cold out, it's great because it's warm inside the store, so there's no
yeah.
questions asked. But
That's cool. So like out in your area, like it's either like NNL West or the Cars and Coffee that you
yeah,
guys get together with,
that's
and that's
kind of it. Yeah.
and that's kind of it, right?
Hmm.
for the most part, and then everything else. I
There's more I
mean,
don't know about it. I'd like to know about it because
mhm,
a lot of them are. We have a lot of lowrider guys out here.
yeah,
I seem to be one of the few import guys. Even at NNL, I don't see a lot more import cars besides mine.
yeah.
In this style, at least, a lot of imported race cars like Audis and stuff like that. But
Mhm.
in terms of like Japan culture stuff, not a lot. So I think I'm holding the crown out in the Bay Area for that.
Yeah, no, that's dope. And
Or at least I'm trying.
your interest in like the Japanese cars and all that. Where did all that start
So
from?
my grandma was from Japan. Um, and that kind of, I don't know. It's we've been around like, I don't know how to put this, like Japanese like culture, I guess. I don't know. Um she moved here when she was 25, I believe, and lived here her whole life. But when nobody was there, she was always on the phones with her sisters. So, she kind of just, I don't know how to put this to have it make sense. Uh she I don't know how to put it. She Man, I don't know how I got myself into a hole here.
Have you traveled out there though to
No,
Japan?
I
Okay.
wish. At some point I would. I got a
Yeah, yeah,
passport
yeah.
finally.
No,
Uh,
hell yeah.
um,
Hey, let's go. Nah.
yeah,
I'm always
I'm
I'm
down.
always I'm always thinking like, all right, back when I went to Japan, like I only went once, and that was 2017 to 2018, right? And I was there with Armando, Juan, and
Yeah, I
Jeremy.
remember that. Yeah.
And that was fun, dude. That was super fun. Like being
Yeah.
there
I don't
with
think I could
friends.
bring enough money though.
And like I don't know, man. Like I feel like I mean I want to go back, but it would be freaking dope to go out there with
100%. Yeah.
homies, you know?
I
And
think
just
they've really let up on the restrictions too. You don't
Mhm.
need like a visa or anything to go. I think a standard passport's good enough once again,
Yeah.
which would be nice. But
Hell
yeah,
yeah.
I don't know the whole Japanese. I started owning like real cars when I was 16. I had a 62 Nova, but immediately bought I had a 91 MR2, and that kind of fueled the whole Japanese car thing for me.
Mhm.
Um, but in terms of like the culture, I'd say it was my grandma. She very traditional lady, which was cool because we not a lot of people get to be around something like that.
Mhm.
Most people wouldn't even know by looking at me, but yeah, we were at grandma's house all the time and
That's
just
dope.
always around it. So I just wish she raised us on speaking Japanese. That would have been awesome. But at
Yeah.
this point, I don't even think I know enough to get myself in trouble. So
Mhm. Man, that's crazy. I mean, I never knew that. I'm learning that right now. That's pretty dope.
yeah,
I was thinking back at like, what kind of connection. Like one day I was like thinking like, I was thinking like, oh man, like I'm really digging and I'm enjoying and learning a lot of, the JDM stuff. And
yeah,
even speaking with Casey about it, but then I started going back and like thinking like what's always been my connection like with Japan, and then I remember and it hit me and I went, holy shit, like like my dad, he's a florist,
mhm,
right? But my dad didn't just learn like becoming a florist. Like my
yeah,
dad, his teachers who taught him
mhm.
were these ladies who were Japanese designers.
Really,
Yeah, and they were living in Oxnard, and at that time, I'm talking about like late 80s, early 90s. I mean, they were coming out with all these designs in the city where this was fairly new. They were like on top of their game, doing all their thing, and my dad just offered to help, like, oh, I'll help you, whatever you need, I'll bring it to you.
mm,
And then he noticed, man, they're overwhelmed, they're busy. Like maybe I could help them if they taught me a little.
yeah,
And then it just like they saw that he was always like there, like wanting to help. So then they just showed him. But because of what they showed him, they passed on like those skills to him. And then
yeah,
he adapted that and he ran with it. And then, that sparked for him to open up his own business, the
yeah.
shop. And then eventually they retired, but whenever we needed help, they would come and help
Oh,
us.
really? Oh man, that's
Yeah,
nice.
and I remember that they would cook home cooked meals and stuff,
Oh yeah,
and they'd bring it over, and then that's when I started eating Japanese food for the first time as a
Yeah.
kid, they taught me how to use chopsticks, all this stuff. And I was
Oh
like,
yeah, that all came from my grandma. She lived right next to a skate park up in Walnut Creek, and a lot of my friends like to go because on the way back from the skate park, I'd call my grandma and just let her know that when we're in town, we might stop by, and she'd
mhm,
always make them fresh sushi.
dang.
I'm not a sushi guy,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
everybody else loved it. So
Oh, hell yeah.
I'd take all my friends over to grandma's house and they loved
Yeah.
eating sushi. And she
That's
liked
what's
making it.
up.
She just liked having people to hang out with. So that's why we always found ourselves over there just to hang out, and just hang out at grandma's house. Sometimes we'd pass out there and I'd go to work from her house. So it was pretty fun. Unfortunately we lost her years ago, but I got a whole sleeve tattoo uh in like a traditional Japanese style with her name.
Mhm.
So
Oh, that's nice, man.
yeah.
That's
So it's
cool, dude. No, yeah. I mean, it's just it's a trip, man. Like, I mean, I was introduced to a lot of stuff, and like,
yeah.
I loved
Oh,
it.
the
And
culture's deep too, man. You could go for miles on Japanese culture, and there's
oh
so many
man,
things that are cool about it.
yeah. Nah, I could see that, dude. And I don't know, it's just like I just appreciate a lot. Every time I'm learning new things and seeing how things kind of connect. That I'm like, what the hell? Like, it's such a trip. But
Yep.
I guess this is what it's about. This journey that we're going through right now. Like meeting people and just conversing with people, and then what's crazy is the model building. I mean, each one of us spends all this time working on our builds, you
Yeah.
know, in our rooms or, in our little workspaces. And it's like, we get to share this online, and then we get to like, see people's work, critique it, or, give props, whatever it
Yeah.
is. But it's also like a very motivational thing too.
It is, and the internet really changed that too, because now you're not just relegated to the guys in your area, which in my area there's not a lot, but now there's hundreds of thousands of people around the world putting model car content up, and it's so easy to access this stuff and get motivation or talk to them. I've talked to a lot of guys and just get their tips on stuff because you always learn something new doing this stuff. And I think the internet, it has its goods and bads, but in terms of this stuff, man, it really spread this model car thing like a wildfire. But it's great for us because now we have access to all this stuff and it's been awesome.
Yeah, yeah. It's like we're obviously using it for the good,
Oh yeah.
our reasons. It's a trip because I notice even like now, there's certain modelers who I've conversed with, they don't speak English, and I obviously don't speak their language,
Yep.
but
We
just
can still communicate somehow.
just communicating, DMing each other, like
Yep.
messages, the
Yep.
translator. There's,
Exactly. Yeah, I was just going to say that too, because it's not perfect, but it's good enough to get a point
Mhm.
across. And
Yeah,
100% converse with someone, say in Japan, or something like that, and they'll know exactly what you're talking about, which is awesome. Because I have
yeah, yeah.
you guys, not a lot, but
Mhm.
just a couple. So
I know, but the more I feel like, man, I feel like, man, I need to start learning something. Like it motivates me to want to learn.
learning Japanese is hard. I've tried.
Oh man, yeah, hell yeah,
Hard, hard.
it seems hard for sure. Yeah, 'cause
uh,
I remember one of my homies, I sent him a voicemail. He's out in Poland, and I sent him a voicemail in English, and
yeah.
he's like, oh man, he's like, I don't understand what you're saying,
Yep.
but
Yep. If you
just
send it in
write it
text,
out, write it out. And I'm like,
yeah.
oh, my bad, and then I
Yeah.
wrote it out.
Sometimes you have to think about that too, because
Yeah, and I
you're
was
just
like,
talking to your phone, you're like, you don't think much about it.
mhm.
But then you get that message. I've got a friend that just moved here from another country, and she's the same way. If
Mhm.
I type it out, it's a lot easier for her to understand because we can talk a lot, way too fast for people that have just moved here.
Yeah.
Uh, it's this whole translator social media thing has been great for hobbies and stuff for sure. No regrets on that. Every time I see social media, it can go bad, and you think, I could cancel it right now. But at this point, I've got so many good people on there that I keep in contact with that there's no chance. So we'll ride this out.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, that's my air compressor's going. I guess it's got a leak.
Yeah, I can hear it. No, it's all good.
Sorry.
And as far as like the process of building, what would you say is like your least favorite that
Uh,
gets you frustrated? You're like, oh man, I got to do this again.
getting the ride height set. it can be frustrating sometimes. I do a lot of curbside stuff. I don't do a lot of detailed bottoms because my cars are so low. Sometimes I even find myself sanding the frame to slam it on the ground. And most of my cars just have metal axles in them. Let me pull the Celica out again for you. I think this is kind of a prime example of what I'm talking about here. This is another thing I'd like to improve for the year is build cars that actually have a lot of detail on the bottom. But you can see there's not much down there. It's just a metal axle and some other stuff. But that's one of the things I'd like to get to this year is to, have a car I can put on a mirror base and you can look up on the bottom and it's really nice too. But for now, I just like to do the pretty paint stuff. So I'll stick to that for the next couple cars. But I think at some point I want to really go crazy with a race car or something like that. Full plumbing and brake lines and, the whole bottom, anything I can come up with, print parts as I need it,
Damn. And the Porsche, the big one that you have,
Oh,
how
yeah.
long did it take you to build that, dude?
So on and off, it was 2 years. And right in the middle of that, I painted the body and then I got kind of to the base and then I stopped for a while and started building a bunch of other cars. And this is kind of why I only do one car at a time usually, because it took me a year to get back to the Porsche. I'm glad I did though, because I designed all the plumbing fittings and I printed everything up. So the whole car is kind of plumbed. Not that there's a lot to it because it's an old carbureted car, but it was kind of fun, kind of just dabbling in printed parts for bigger scale stuff. Because my print success on 24 scale fittings and stuff is not very high. The 12 scale stuff is super easy. But I think in the future I'd like to do another 12 scale car, full body car like the Porsche, because I got most of the 12 scale kits that Tamiya makes. It's really bad, but I just have to figure out what to build next. I got a ton of options to pick from. One of these days I'll put up pictures of all the junk I have.
That's dope, man. And like, I'm just tripping out. You managed to even find a case for that.
Hobby Lobby.
Yeah, the same ones.
It barely fits. I have a Formula One car I did, and it doesn't fit in
Uh-huh.
anything. So it's currently collecting dust inside the IKEA cabinet. So it 100% depends on the car. So the Formula One cars are a lot bigger. The Porsche fits by like a 1/4 inch on either side, which is pretty good. But
Mhm.
I think it's an 18 scale display box, so or bigger, because the van is inside the same box. The van wouldn't fit in anything but that. So I kind of had to make it work, unfortunately, and the truck doesn't fit. The 24 scales are good, but you can't put like lifted trucks or that little party truck thing that I built for NNL this year doesn't fit with the rack on the top. So I made the rack magnetic. I'll pull it out for you if you want.
Yeah, let's check it out.
So this one right here, this little K truck that I did the wheels and stuff on, this thing clears the top by like 1/8 of an inch. It's really tight. So in order to make everything fit in here, you can see the little rack in the back where the guy is. It's a separate thing. So on this truck specifically, I made it so it's magnetic, and now whenever I need to display it, I just pull the truck out. So here's the truck, and then I can just clip this on magnets, and now it's good to go. So now it doesn't have to fit in the box, but on display it's all there, which is nice. But I'm super happy with this thing. There's a whole series of these little trucks, like arcade truck and food trucks and all that stuff, and I definitely need to build more of these because they're really cool to put on display. But it's more that the oddball stuff that I'm kind of into. So the more weird it is, the more likely it is that I'm going to build it.
Do you think you're into those because not too many people build that? Like the different.
My taste is all over the place. Like I like hot rods, low riders, traditional hot rods. I don't care what it is. Honestly, it's just the Japanese culture thing is kind of my big thing because I've been into it for so long, since I was about 18 years old. So naturally that's kind of where I fall. But yeah, maybe unique is a good word, but At some point, I just think they're cool, like a little arcade video game truck or, um, gosh, what else? I don't know, there's like soup trucks, fish trucks,
Yeah,
just some stuff
the fish trucks look super
with
tasty.
the
That one
fish head
looks
on the
cool.
top. Yeah. But I don't know. They're just fun. They're what I call like a quick satisfaction build. So I can build it in a few weeks and I'm done, and it's one of those things to kind of get your juices flowing so you can focus more on a bigger project like my police car right here. So it's one of those things kind of get you back in the mood because sometimes you fall off and you don't want to build, no motivation, and then you do something quick like that, and then it turns out good. And now the motivation's kind of back for me to go back and start building something else. And that's kind of where I ended up on the Crown because I dove right into the flashing lights thing. And it helps that I work with a bunch of scientists and engineers and stuff. So that, if I have any questions, they're a office door away.
Dang, that's dope.
Not everybody
Ha-
gets to do that.
Have you ever reached like a point where you've ever wanted to like kind of like quit or step away from it for a while? Like from all,
Not quit. There's just sometimes like in the dead of summer, no motivation. It's too hot. I that Celica with the green and yellow paint on it with the stripes. I built that when it was 107 degrees in my garage.
damn,
And I had to
oh,
figure out,
dude.
yeah, dude, it was miserable. It was for a build off, and I ended up having to thin some Mr. Hobby paint down an unreal amount just to get it so it wouldn't dry before it touched the car. Um, but I got it done. But yeah,
Damn.
yeah, winter's okay. Painting it, as you know, in cold weather is not always the best idea. I've found ways to kind of make it work, but it's
Mhm.
still not foolproof. So you get, mistakes every once in a while.
That's
But
cool. I have a couple questions, and these are coming
mm,
From Casey.
oh,
He wants to know what's the best kit ever experienced.
I like that van kit, honestly. I wish they made them again. It's
You're talking about the vanning, right?
yeah, if they made that kit again, I'd probably have 10 of them. It was it it didn't fit perfect and a lot of the parts are really fragile. But man, once it's done, it looks so cool. And you could do a million things. That's based off of a cartoon back in the 80s. It was called Shakotan Boogie. And it was the cartoon car was a Toyota Soarer, but I took that same livery and applied it to this van. Just because I like the way it looked. It's kind of a real simple paint job, take a circle cutter and cut your circle stencils, paint your dots. And on the van, it worked out good. Let me pull it back out here for you. On the vending kit in particular is so where the blue is and the white, that's actually the kit that the body kit that you basically glue onto it. So I use the kit itself as the tape line and the masking to separate the white from the blue. So there wasn't a lot of thinking involved with getting it to look right, but it's there's a million things you could do with it. You could put lights on the inside. There's guys up in the Bay Area that put stereos in their models, so they disassemble little speaker boxes, and then they put all the wiring inside of like the one I remember specifically is this truck. It's a Toyota truck, but it connects to his phone and he plays music through the truck the whole time. And I definitely like to do that on one of these vans. I think that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, man, that's crazy. You're doing the lights for the cop car, and like they're working lights and everything.
Yeah.
As far as like electronics, is that something you kind of learn on your own from, or was it taught to you?
I'm the worst or best, I guess, when it comes to that. Anytime I want to learn something, I'll dive in head first. I painted with cans for like 2 cars and then immediately bought into an entire airbrush system. And now I've got like 500 bottles of paint, different colors, tropical glitter, anything you can think of. I probably got 15, 20 airbrushes of different flavors. And I dive head first into things. And that's how the printing thing came about. I just thought about it and it took, talking to one person to convince me it was a good idea. So I bought a printer, resin, and started going on that. And it kind of goes with everything, really. If it's worth doing, it's worth overdoing.
Yeah, damn, that's cool. And then a second question from KC. He wants to know what are your favorite wheels?
For cars or trucks, does it matter?
Not
Does
for
it have to be something I printed or can it be like a kit?
yeah, anything.
Okay. Let me, I want to come back to that blue skyline here then.
Let's see it. I've been
Probably
waiting
some
for
of,
you to
these are
bust that
probably
one
some of
out.
my favorites right here is the
Ooh.
Yayawis or something like that. I don't remember what they're called, but they're like the cherry blossom wheels from Aoshima. I really like that. And then I don't think I have another car with there's another set I really like the wheels. I just haven't used them yet because I probably don't have that many in my stash. So if I don't have a lot of my find excuses not to use them, which is probably not a good idea, but yeah, if it had to be anything, it would be those. And then actually plug for Casey. He did a Devil Japan IF Racing. No one makes those for kits, and his print turns out awesome. So that's another one. It's a super rare wheel in full scale. And that's probably why there's not actually a model version, and he came up with it. And now I just need to build a car to have it because I wish I had some handy, I'd show you, but they look really good.
Yeah, damn, that's pretty dope. And I have one last question here. This is coming from Snacks.
Okay.
He wants to know how or where would you suggest someone to get into lighting for your police car?
I don't I kind of fell into the lighting thing after talking to a guy at work, honestly. He kind of explained like the whole Ohm's law and all this stuff. And from there, I just kind of ran with it. What my electronic knowledge is very limited. But like just basic things like just putting static lights, like headlights that are on or off, it's really easy to do. The only thing you have to do is figure out what resistance you need because you can't feed too much voltage into an LED because it'll burn out. But if you put the right resistor, it can run forever. LEDs last a long time. They draw hardly any current. So just starting with the basics of just figuring out what resistors you need from that, you're good, you know. Very simple. There's like 2 formulas you need to figure it out. And certainly if he needs help with it, just contact me and I'll talk him through it.
Yeah, and as far as like Zoom On sells like some light sets, but they're more for like headlights and all
Yeah.
that. Do you think like little setups like that can also kind of be used, like those materials to do like lighting?
Dude, for LEDs, the best thing you can do, I buy all my stuff on Amazon. So cheap. You can get like 1,000 LEDs for like $12. And you can get pre-wired stuff it's SMD service mount diode. They're super small. And I think that's what Stoke uses on his cars. But it's super cheap to just buy a stash of this stuff. It's another one of those things where like, I kind of learned basics about it and I went out and bought everything. It's one of those bad
Dang.
habits I've got. So I've got buckets of LEDs and resistors, and I have 555 timers. That's what I use, 555 timers for my flashing lights. I have blank circuit boards. It got out of control pretty quick, but it's another one of those things. Like if I ever need to do it, or I decide to put lights on a car, I just walk to my room and it's there and ready to go. So I don't lose the motivation, because if I think about it too long, I probably won't do it. So
Yeah. And then I got another question. I'm gonna just throw it in here. It just came in. This is from Ryan. He wants to know for your Paco, did you use dry flake or did you mix that?
No, it was like a Comet Silver base from Tropical Glitz, and then before I knew about it, I listened to a show you had with Armando, and he was talking about doing flake with Intercoat,
Yeah.
which is what I do now. But previously, I was spraying it with 2-part clear.
Oh, damn. So
Yeah.
you're pouring the flake into the clear?
Yeah,
Holy
that's
crap.
what I did before. I didn't know about Intercoat, so
Yeah. Damn.
after listening to that show, I immediately went out and bought a quart of Intercoat from House of Color.
Damn, that's
Or
dope.
Tropical Blitz. I don't remember what I have right now.
Uh-huh.
I might be able to tell you. I think I got some right here. I got all my paint sitting right next to me.
Yeah, I've been thinking about like ordering from like Coast, because I know they have like the House of Color.
That's actually where I buy a lot of my stuff.
And yeah, and I've been thinking about getting, some Intercoat, because I still
Yeah.
have all my flake. I still have a bunch of flake. I still have tropical glitz. I even have like some of the House of Color pearls, like the
Mhm.
dry pearls.
Oh man.
I pretty much just have to buy the Intercoat and the reducer.
Yeah.
And this way I could like mix it all in and then just, start applying it to some of my builds.
You can do
And
that with everything too. So I buy big bottles of House of Color reducer because most like the clear coats, the 2-part clears are urethane. House of Color stuff is urethane. I use PPG. And you can thin, so it's 2-part clear, but if you add reducer, it can change the flow properties. So when it cures, it can dry with a little bit less orange peel. And I use the House of Color reducer on everything. And that includes color, PPG clear. It's totally fine with that so far. But it's, yeah, like this stuff right here, actually.
oh hell yeah, dude.
The
That's
311.
stuff right
I have
there.
I have the fast one and
Medium.
the slow one too for winter and summer. So.
Show us that one again, because I kind of threw
Oh
off
yeah,
the screen real quick.
yeah. It's the RU311 medium reducer. I would recommend this stuff to anybody. This stuff is great if you're just trying to
Good
thin down,
stuff.
because you get a 3-part clears. That's what it is. It's clear activator and then reducer. So my clear is 4-to-1, and I'll just match the activator amount. So I'll do 4-to-1 and that's generally enough to get the flow coated finish I'm after. Because like I said earlier, I don't like to wet sand and polish because I'm really bad at it. So if I can find ways to get around it, I will. And that 4-to-1 on my clear coat seems to be what works so far for me. So I'll stick to that plan until that starts to backfire. So then we'll change it a little bit.
And are you using, is that the show clear that you're
No,
rocking?
no, I use this
What
stuff.
kind of clear are you using?
It's the cheapest like PPG thing you can get at the paint store. It's Omni LV by PPG. It's just some cheap stuff. I think it's like $60 a quart. So it's MC 262 and MH 267 for the activator. I'm actually almost out because I paint car parts too, like valve covers and stuff like that for people. So
Oh, nice.
I
Are you doing this all there in the garage?
yeah, or in the
Dang.
front yard. I
Yeah,
used to
yeah,
have
okay.
a booth at the old house, but I don't have one anymore. So it's I kind of make do with what I've got here.
Yeah, when you're gonna do those jobs with the flake, are you like kind of covering stuff up so it
Yeah,
doesn't get anywhere?
painter's tarps for sure.
Yeah.
And it's still not enough generally because it'll fall below you, but it somehow gets everywhere else in any satellite area near you. So
Mhm.
there's no winning with flake. It looks really good when it's done, but man, the cleanup process is a pain.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. It gets on everything.
Yeah, but it looks good when it's done. So who cares?
Mhm. Yeah, I have one of those little spray boots, like the ones that everybody has.
Yeah,
And
funny
mine's
story
all
about those too.
mine's all jacked up.
Yeah, because those things are like $100 now. My dad found those on eBay for $15 shipped.
Hmm.
And
Yeah, there was a time when they were cheap, dude.
I couldn't believe they were basically just giving them away because there's no way the shipping was $15. They were probably losing money on these things, but
Yeah,
it's just
but
sitting in storage right now because I don't have anywhere to put it. So
yeah, I want to say maybe like 2015 or so. I remember seeing them and they were like 50 to 60 bucks.
yeah, that's about right. He found them on. I don't even know why he was looking, but I think there was 5. And then by the time he sent me the link, there was 3, and he ended up buying 2 and giving one to me.
Yeah,
There were $15 shipped, like 1.5. So
yeah. I
there's
think now
no
they're
money, but
they're anywhere from 100, 150 now.
yeah, honestly, it's worth it if you have a place to do it. It
Mhm.
does a decent
They're
job
cool.
keeping dust and stuff off your cars, which is nice because I'm always fighting dust and dog hair problems out here. So
Yeah,
the struggle is not worth it. If you can spend 100 to 150 on a spray booth, I would 100% recommend it.
yeah. No, hell yeah. Yeah, because I still have mine, but mine's all jacked up. Like I've dropped like reducer, thinner
Yeah.
on it. The
Yeah,
plastic starts melting.
I think you can replace the filter with like HVAC filters from Walmart and stuff.
Just cut
and
them
just
out.
plug it into the back. Yeah, because
Yeah.
that filter clogs up and it won't do anything. So you have to constantly replace that because the overspray will fill up the filter pretty quickly.
It
But
does. No, it does. Because I even got flake all over it and everything
yeah, the
inside. It's
flake will
like
plug that thing up in an instant.
bombarded. Yeah, dude. And I'm like, dang,
Yeah,
I gotta like constantly like take this out, replace it with like a new one.
yeah,
You know,
yeah. But it's worth it if you really don't want to fight with painting, and having stuff come out nice the first try. That's the good thing about metal flake is you have a lot more. It's a lot more forgiving to getting stuff in the paint. Like you don't notice dust at all. So there's another reason why it's nice, especially when you paint in a garage like me. So if I get dust in a metal flake car, no big deal. We'll just sand it back and clear coat it again. So
Yeah, and like when you apply your flake and then you're spraying your clear on there, how do you know when to stop? Like when's enough clear?
um I still haven't figured that out yet. Because every time I start sanding and masking, I'll get pieces of glitter that come off on the tape. But I was watching a guy in Japan, and I'm going to try it on the next one. I think is when you spray the flake with the clear, it's a really rough surface, as you know. And if you try to clear over that, it doesn't seem like it adds to it. So you got to let it cure. And when you let it cure first, you come at it with Scotch Brite, and it'll get the pits and the peaks of that rough finish. And then the clear will stick everywhere. And then you can sand that back, and now it's totally smooth. And it seems like I haven't tried it yet, but the theory seems to make sense. So I've applied it to bigger stuff like painting engine parts and stuff, and it works fine. On a little car, it might be a little harder, but the flake is also a lot smaller. So I think it'll work. I just need to come up with an idea for flaking something because
Damn.
I really
And you
want to
saw
try
this on a
lowrider
video?
patterns. Huh?
You saw this on a video?
Yeah, there's a guy, Z something, Z Warrior or something out in Japan. He paints full-size cars, but he does a lot of metal flaking. And that's where I saw because he was using colored flake instead of candy. And when you can't sand colored flake because the second you touch the flake, it turns silver.
Yeah.
And that's why he was doing the Scotch Brite thing to get a buildup over the flake, and then he could sand back, and it was totally smooth, and it worked out really good. So
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I think I've seen this dude's videos. He does like a lot of pattern work, right?
he
Like
has, yeah.
candy and yeah,
Yeah.
different wild paint
He
jobs.
painted
Yeah,
like
yeah,
a
yeah.
Scion XB or something with some crazy paint
Yeah.
job.
I
Yeah,
remember
that
that.
was it.
Okay.
And then he did like the one that I saw he did the Scotch Brite on was he painted like a C3 Corvette. And it was for his daughter or something, and it was in pink flake. It was bright, but
Damn, he got his
yeah,
daughter a
he hit it
Corvette.
hard with pink flake, and then he let it dry, and then he Scotch Brited it, so the whole car was scuffed. And then he came back with like 3 or 4 passes of clear, and then he sanded that back, and now the colored flake was totally sealed. It was smooth, and then he could come back and flow coat it. So it all makes sense. I just gotta, find the motivation to paint a flaked car again because it is so messy. But I think my next paint project I'd really want to try is like you guys, the guys that build the lowriders, I got the most respect from that. Is hard to do, but I really like to try patterns on a Japanese car.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
one
that
of
would
the things I
be
really want to. I've been wanting to try it forever. I always talk with my friend Jan out in Puerto Rico. Man, he's a good motivator, but I gotta really pull one out of my bag deep for that one. But I think if I can get it done, I think it'll look pretty cool because it's kind of nice to sit in the garage and just kind of tape, like masking something. I don't know what it is. Like you just throw in some headphones and you just work. And the motivation continues because you see the design coming together, and then you just want to keep going. And I'll find myself out here until 11 o'clock at night on a work day. I got to be up at 4:30 in the morning. So that's pretty
damn.
late for me, but you just kind of get buried in it and you just keep going. And it happens a lot, but as far as I'm concerned, it's a good thing because it keeps me out of trouble. So I'll have my late nights here and there, and no complaints from me.
Yeah, when do you mono build then? When do you have time to build since you go
I
to
mean, I
work
get
so
home at
early?
like 3:30. Anything after that, if I got nothing else to do, I'll jump in the garage and just work on stuff. I don't really have a tight schedule. Like I said, I just have dogs and cars, so they're pretty self-sufficient. They just sleep on the couch all day. So
Yeah,
I'll
they
just
probably
go out
like
and I'll sit in the garage for 5 or 6 hours at a time and work
yeah.
on my cars.
Yeah, they're probably just chilling next to you. while
Yeah.
you're
Well,
working
they
on
were
your
just out
build.
here earlier. I put them away though, because it's not very warm in here. It's 52 degrees in the garage. So
Damn. Give us a showcase of some of the cars behind you that we haven't seen yet.
okay.
Like that top one. What's that top one? It's like a red one.
Oh, that's my Civic. It's a race car. It's a oh, hold on, it's taped up. I didn't want to get an avalanche of car kits coming down off the table here on video. That'd be slightly embarrassing, wouldn't it? This it's a Civic touring car, Hasegawa. Pretty fun little car to do. It's one of those things I do pretty simple decal designs because the decal thing is a challenge for sure. So when you see my cars, there's not a lot of complex liveries. It's a lot of just like brand names and stuff. Because right now I'm just kind of practicing my decal work, but there's that one. This one right here. Actually, this one was one of my favorites, I would say. I really like doing this car. This is the Tamiya Alfa Romeo Jägermeister. This splash paints Jägermeister orange. And this car is cool. I have the whole series. There's like a martini one. There's a whole bunch of other stuff, but I don't know. Race cars are kind of an addiction. I just need to build more of them. They're so time consuming, and if you screw up on the decals, you're kind of at a dead point, you know. And then I'll pull out, this is one of the ones that my dad did. This is kind of the decal work that he's good at. Like, this is like the entire back clamshell of this car is a decal, and there's no wrinkles at all. I don't know how he does it, but it's one of those things that I'm not willing to ruin an expensive kit. At least not yet, to learn how to do really complex decals. I can pull out the big Porsche if you want. There's this guy. This one was the one that took a while, but this one was really fun. It's a 12 scale 934. The whole bottom is kind of done. This one I kind of took pride because I designed and printed like a ton of pieces of hardware, like bolts and stuff. And I cut all the bolts that were molded in on the parts, and every bolt on this thing has been replaced with a hex bolt. So if you look under, it doesn't look like a lot, but underneath the car, the whole car is covered in gold bolts, like you would get like the old cadmium plated bolts and stuff. But this one was pretty fun. The 12 scales are fun. They take so long to do if you want to do a lot of detail and stuff. What else am I missing here, Edgar? I don't even know. This little guy. This one was pretty cool. And this is kind of the motivation for the next police car is I did a little Toyota Corolla police car. It's just, I can't build them stock. Everything has to be really low to the ground. But this one, I like this one too, because I stripped the chrome off, and this is actually Molotow chrome on the wheels. And it's a way better finish because these old 14-inch wheels are never chrome, they're polished aluminum. And in terms of finish, I think this is a lot better because some of the cars, the chrome is a little bit too chrome. You know what I mean? So yeah, there's not a whole lot more up here. Honestly, I haven't built that many cars. A lot of them, some of them I've given away. I build cars for friends as gifts, and they disappear forever. So
Damn, I'm sure they're enjoying them. That police
yeah.
car right there. What brand made that? What company?
That's an
made it?
Aoshima Toyota Corolla police car.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
I never seen that one before.
I got it a few years ago. It might be one of those ones they haven't made in a while, but I know someone was talking about building police cars, and not a lot of people build them, and that's why I'm doing this.
Yeah.
Because then there's another example of a police car out there.
Yeah, whenever Aoshima like has made them available, like with my distributor, like to get the police cars, I just get them. Like I have
they're super fun cars. The only difference,
I have a bunch of them, and I'm like, dude, I want to build one.
Oh, dude, you got to do it. The Crown actually. So I'm not going to do the Crown in regular black and white like I did on the Corolla. I'm going to do this. You can laugh at it with me here. Tropical Glitz, Interstellar, Pearl White. and then I'm going to do a metallic black. So
Oh,
it's
hell
kinda
yeah.
like it's going to be like a flashy looking police car. I think it'll be pretty good.
Yeah.
Something a little different, you know, it's
Yeah,
like
that's tight.
you can build them
Oh.
stock, but modifying them is a whole lot better. So
Yeah, no,
I'm going to do
yeah.
that. And that's why I did the Skyline in metal flake, is because it was cool with the decals, but it was way better with the flake on it.
Doing it that
So
way.
I think it just stands out a lot more, and I just like the way it looks. So I kind
Mhm.
of stick to that trend, and I rarely build anything the way it's supposed to be, unless it's a race car. Then I'll try to get as close as I can.
That's cool, man. Just like doing your own take on it, your own flair.
Exactly. That's the whole joy of this is you kind of do what you want, and the more it stands out, it seems like, for me at least, the more people seem to like it, because it's not just like a traditional cop car. It's lowered. Mine will have flashing lights, and it'll have pearl and metallic paint, and it'll just be one of those things that it won't look like a regular cop car, and that's what I like about it. And of course, it's a lot cheaper to do this than it is to get a real cop car. So
Yeah, for real, man. That's cool. Man, it's a trip, man. It's like you have you're building the models and you have the one-on-one skill cars too coming in.
mm,
Do you also aren't you also collecting like 164 scale?
I collect everything, man.
Yeah,
Yeah, I got a ton of Hot Wheels too.
yeah,
I got a lot of those. They have the Aoshima 164 scale, like they're like mystery box things. So you get 12
yeah.
in a case. Yeah, I got a bunch of those too.
That's tight.
Because you don't get a lot of diecast cars in that Kaido Racer style, and that
Hmm.
seems to be kind of all I can find. So anytime a new case comes out, I tend to buy it instead of, because you get the mystery box, you don't know what's in there. So if when you buy the box, you get everything.
Yeah,
So, and most times it's cheaper to just buy the whole box. It's not a good way to do it, but if you want to collect everything, it's certainly the best
yeah.
way to do it.
Oh yeah, to get to it. That's cool, man. Yeah, I have some of them. Because I've gotten the boxes from my distributor when they come out.
Yeah,
I've gotten series 13 and 14 in the store.
sure. Yeah,
But for those things, like, some of them they just, they take off. Like people get them
yeah.
and yeah, I've opened some of them and I've seen them and I'm like, dude, these
Mhm.
are pretty cool, man.
That's what's a little different about me, is I tend to open everything. Um, I opening Hot Wheels, some guys are into the treasure hunts and all that stuff, and I'll open them. It doesn't matter to me. Most of the times, because I'm only $1 into it. So resale value isn't something I consider if it's just something I want to display in my cabinet. So I don't know. I'm a professional hobbyist, if you will, so kind of jack of all trades here. And
Yeah,
I'll get into anything. I don't care what it is. As long as it looks fun, I'm in.
no, that's pretty dope, dude. And how do you store your paint? Do you put it in a case or you just kind of just leave it around chilling it
There's paint
everywhere?
everywhere. There's some on my cart here. I've got boxes up on the workbench. I've got 2 toolboxes full of paint. It's it's gotten a little out of hand. I got a lot of paint, but some of it I go through a lot. Like I have a ton of primer sitting around, but in terms of like colors, I buy a lot of different paint because I'm colorblind. So I don't like to mix colors. I like to just find the color I need. So I've got a lot of stuff from like Mr. Hobby, Tamiya, Vallejo. I got a lot of stuff just because it's easier to find what I need instead of mixing it. I have some friends that'll help me mix stuff, but my color vision isn't the best. So it's one of those things I try to avoid mixing if I can. And I just buy a huge array of different colors to get what I need. And sometimes I won't mix, but like on this car, I was gonna mix a pearl color, but I ended up just doing like a Tamiya pearl white, and then it's just Tamiya clear orange over the top. And this is kind of what I got. But it's paint collecting is a totally separate hobby at this point with how much is out there now, especially since we're getting all the Tamiya lacquers and stuff. It's really good paint. If you don't use automotive stuff, I use a lot of automotive stuff too. Um, like here's House of Color base white. I have like Art Deco, a lot of tropical glitz colors, and but just having the options and just being able to go get what I need right out of my toolbox is a lot easier than coming up with something or having to buy it and ship it in and wait for it.
Yeah, your
Because
motor.
none of my stuff's ever it never gets halted because I always have what I need here. So
Yeah. No, it sucks when you like you want something, you need it, and you don't have it, and then
exactly.
you order it, and your motivation's already kind of like dwindling. Like,
Yeah. And I can't play with the motivation because like I said, if I lose motivation, it goes away for a while. So
yeah.
the NNL this year was a real good one. That's why like the next day I was on this crown. Uh,
Hmm.
and I had already on a breadboard, I built a circuit for the flashing lights, got the crown. It's almost done with body work. It's all primed and stuff. Um, and drilled for the wires and everything's there. But now, like the second day after, um, this thing was ready to go. And then I got wiring and now I just need to do the paint. So that's the best part though, is painting the cars. Uh, but actually, no, I correct myself. I need to get it to sit low, and that's going to be a challenge because this is one of this crown. I'll show you the kit here. It's one of those really nice kits. So it's got a bunch of suspension parts. It's not just like the old school cars, or just, they used to be little RC cars. So they got little battery packs and all this other stuff in the box. So they're super easy to slam down and make it low. But the crown's going to be a bit more of a challenge, but that's okay. I want to try to do it without using metal axles because the metal axles is kind of like it's cheating as far as I'm concerned, but it works. So
Hmm.
um, I'm going to try to do a lot more stuff like this, more elaborate stuff this year instead of just curbside like I've always done.
Yeah, I have a question in the chat room. This is coming from Jake. He wants to know how many months does it take you to build?
It depends on what it is. I can build as quick as 3 weeks. I think generally about 2 months, depending on how complex I want to do everything. A lot of stuff I do, like I said, is curbside. Race cars tend to take a lot longer. Like this crown, I've been on it for since NNL, so 3 weeks, and I'm only in primer. So I have a feeling this will be a 3 or 4 month car, but um, I would say an average is 2 months. Uh, assuming the motivation is there, it can be a lot quicker if I really want to get it done.
Nice. And any plans for you to come out to SoCal this year for like a model car event?
Uh, it depends. Right now, I only have two cars, and I don't think either one's going to get over the grapevine.
Hmm.
But once that new car comes in, it's something I'm going to look into because from what I've seen, you guys' model car culture down there is crazy compared to up here. So, because you guys got do they do it at the Roadster show or no?
Yeah, so the Roadster Show just happened
Mhm.
so at the beginning of this month, and I wasn't there, but I wasn't able to go the Sunday,
Yeah,
but the Sunday is the day when they do the model show.
yeah.
So pretty much the event starts like Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Hmm.
And there are they have the area set up so like modelers could display their cars like on a Saturday. And there was some photos I saw of pictures taken of models that were
Hmm.
there.
Hmm.
But the Sunday is like more when everyone shows up, brings their bills, and that's when they do like awards
Oh
and
yeah.
things like that.
It's definitely something I need to do. Uh, and then tow a couple guys down with me so we can all make you guys always make your appearance for NNL up here because that's kind of the big show for us. Um, and at some point, hopefully this year I can get down that way and attend some of you guys got a million shows down there, it seems like, compared to up here.
Yeah, there's let me plug them in right now. So while we're talking about model car shows, so there's two shows like
Mhm.
so far coming up. Like one's at the end of this month. It's gonna be on a Sunday, the 26th.
Okay.
This is taking place in Ventura.
Mhm.
Let me see here at the Ventura
Oh, I think I saw the
Fairgrounds.
flyer for that.
Yeah, this is the Model Fest
That's the one.
that's coming up here. Let me pull up their that flyer so this way I could just kind of read on here. So Model Fest contest and swap meet at Seaside Park Ventura County Fairgrounds, 10 West Harbor Boulevard, Ventura, California, 93001. It
Mm.
goes from 8:30 a.m. to 3 p.m.
On
Uh,
which day? The 26th? Is that like
yeah,
Saturday?
that's on a Sunday. That's on
Sunday?
a
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So that's one show that's this month in February. We'll be there vending. Another show that's coming up. This won't be all the way until May, so you still have like time You know, like if you can't come out to the Ventura one, obviously there's one gonna be in May, and
Mhm.
the one in May is gonna be like a pretty big one.
Is
That's
it?
SoCal Open.
Oh yeah, no, I've definitely heard about that.
Yeah. So that's pretty much like you know, that's like the closest thing to like an NNL, but it's
Yeah,
called SoCal Open, and that one's gonna be taking place on the 7th of May, one
okay.
week before Mother's Day.
Yeah, that's also really close to, I believe, May 20th is IPMS in Texas. And I've already got tickets and a hotel with my dad out there to go to that too.
You guys are gonna go to that?
Yeah,
Nice.
we went to the one in Arizona. It was good. The only I wish there was more cars, but the cars that show up, man, their build quality is amazing.
Mhm.
But it's everything. You got Gundams, you got sci-fi, planes, battleships, anything you can think of is at an
Damn.
IPMS. Great place to be a vendor though, man. There's so many people that go to that event.
And this is the Texas area?
Yeah. Yeah, it's down, it's like 3 hours south of Dallas or something like that. I forget what my dad said. But I'm gonna just fly into Dallas and stay at his house and we're gonna drive down. And then the hotels get packed up uh the weekend of the event. Or it's like a week. I think it goes from like Tuesday till Saturday or something like that. And you always, if you want to go to the vending area and add to your collection if you don't need to, you go on Tuesday so you can kind of take benefit of what's there before everybody else. But I've only been to one. It was in Arizona, but it was still really good. Definitely recommend it to people.
Damn, that's pretty cool. Yeah, there's also another show at the NHRA Museum that
Oh,
takes
I've heard
place
about that.
in November
Yeah.
as well, and that's in the city of Pomona. That's also a good show too.
Is that because I'm a drag race? I love drag racing. That's my big thing.
Yeah.
Is it drag themed stuff or in terms of like the models that show up? It's anything, huh?
Yeah, it's like anything, but you do see that though there on display
Yeah.
too, like models. But aside from that though, when you pay your you know your entrance fee for the
Hmm.
model show, you also get to you have access to preview the museum
Oh,
itself.
really?
Yeah. So
Oh, man.
that's a whole other thing. So it's like it's all in the same building.
Yeah.
It's just they have a particular room where they host the model car event.
Mhm. How many guys how many cars you usually have on the tables there?
I mean the room's not that big,
Okay.
but as far as like cars, like the tables do get pretty full, man. And I don't know if it's anywhere between 100 to 200 cars. Like
Pretty good.
it's pretty good. I think it just varies. Like
Yeah.
each year is
Oh,
different.
100%. Yeah, because we had what was it last year? They did NNL at a weird time. It was like July or something, and almost nobody showed up. It was really dead. But then this one back in January, man, I think one of the guys that was hosting, he said there was almost 800 cars there, which was awesome to see. Everybody was back, man. It's refreshing to see everybody's back out and bringing fresh cars out that they built.
Damn, that's crazy. So like when you were there last year, because it was like, you know, like that date, it was kind of off and it's like
Yeah.
post-pandemic.
Mhm.
Like, did it feel kind of weird? Like,
There was like no vendors. It was almost like they had just started the show over again, like from scratch. It was so small compared to normal NNL, which is usually packed tables. The vendor area is crazy. Man,
damn.
it was weird to see.
Yeah, I
But
wonder if like if that was something the promoter or like the organizers were a little stressed on, you know, if they were like,
probably because I think they probably knew that it wasn't going to be huge because of the time. Because I
Mhm.
think everybody's used to it being in January or February.
Yeah.
And was that the one? Gavin came out and I
Yeah, I think he was there vending at that
yeah,
one.
I was at his booth. He got me in. I was vending at his booth with him.
That's cool.
I was helping him out. But yeah, he it didn't stop the lowrider guys from coming and cleaning out his bins, man. He did good there.
Yeah,
But
for
he got me
sure.
some of his stuff. His stuff is nice.
Yeah.
Need
Was it
lowrider.
a trip for you to see that? Like looking back at like you guys are just kicking it, and then now he's there, but he had a booth.
Oh yeah, it's crazy. I've known him for a lot longer than just models though, because I originally met him and a friend of mine, Randy, when they came up from Southern California to go to an RC car track at one of the local hobby stores, and that's how I originally met him. And that was probably 10 years ago, maybe more. And Gavin he ran these crazy detailed RC car bodies too, so he's never changed. He just used to play with bigger stuff, and now he does the model stuff just as good.
Wow, that's crazy. I never knew that. I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
yeah, he was an RC drift guy. That's how I originally met him. I'm not in that game anymore though. It's too expensive. Like a car is, $3,000-5,000, something like that. You know, that's a lot of money
Damn.
for my big
And you
cars.
were you were racing these cars, or were you like drifting them?
Drifting.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and we used to go down to Southern California for RC car competitions all the time. We probably went down 5 or 6 times a year for competitions and stuff. Now
That's
it's
crazy.
like cutthroat, man. These guys are really good. I can't keep up with them anymore. So I stepped back. I'm good. So I just kept 2 cars and a couple bodies, and that's it. So
Yeah, that's crazy. Were you also painting the bodies too?
yeah, I still got a lot of the ones I painted. I did a lot of replica stuff. Doing the stuff with Lexan's a lot harder than it is with models because you paint them from the inside out. So you have to paint them backwards. So you would do, if you wanted a candy car, you'd do candy, metallic, base, like black, and then you do a backing coat so it's not transparent anymore. I
Hmm.
had to get out of that mindset to paint models because you have to paint them like a normal car.
Yeah.
I
When
drove
when
RC
you're
cars for like 6 or 7 years, so I got so used to doing it like that that it was a little weird for me.
That's crazy. When you're talking about backwards, I'm picturing what you were saying. Like, how do you do it when you're doing like patterns and all that? Um,
Yeah, it's
it's-
hard. So you'd have to mask. I never even did patterns, honestly. Just simple graphics, but like on that, you'd have to do like you'd normally do on a car, but instead of you'd mask it like normal. So you got all your patterns lined out, and then you'd mask off the panel you want to focus on, but you do the candy first, which is a little weird because it doesn't always go on very good because the Lexan, it doesn't take paint very well. So it'll fisheye really easy if you're not careful. So that's one of those things that got a little frustrating painting cars. Because they kind of got rid of lacquer paints for um gosh, there was like Spastics and some other companies that made lacquers, but they slowly went away. And you were kind of stuck with like fast color water-based stuff, and it didn't stick worth a shit. Sorry, but
that's all good. No
it's
worries.
yeah, the water-based stuff, it made nice colors, but it didn't stick at all. And then the second you crashed, it would just chip off. So the RC car thing, it was cool, but man, watching your work get destroyed on the track was kind of disheartening, to be honest with you.
Yeah, you're like, what the hell, man?
Yeah,
Man,
yeah,
that's crazy. That's pretty expensive.
it
Like
is. And you
it
spend
adds
weeks
up
painting cars, and then it just
over
gets
time.
punched up. So it sucks, but it's part of it, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But I mean, now you just get to enjoy your car just chilling, static,
Exactly.
not moving anywhere.
Yeah, at some point I'd like to, because I go to a lot of car shows locally, like just like Cars and Coffee and stuff like that. I like to just display the cars, the models, and just get people's attention. Because the more you get people's attention, the more likely they are to say, "Hey, where can I start doing that?" And then you can kind of guide them in the way that I started or something like that to a local hobby store, and just kind of get them rolling with a can of paint and a car. The younger guy that I was talking about in Florida, he saw some of my stuff, and he ended up with a couple kits, and now he's built like 6 or 7 cars, and he's having a ball with it. I send a bunch of 3D parts to him to get him rolling. And he uses my stuff, so it's cool to see. And I think he's only 16, which you don't get a lot of the younger generation doing this stuff, which is unfortunate. Um, but anything I can do to contribute to the growth of it, I'm here. I'll help people with 3D printing and on occasion design stuff, not as much, but on special request, I might consider designing something for somebody just to kind of keep the ball rolling for everybody. So, but once I design it, anybody can benefit, which is nice.
Yeah, that's pretty dope, man. That you're doing that because I feel like everyone has that opportunity to meet someone that's like
Mhm.
younger or interested in
Yeah.
like model building, and it's just like instead of like ignoring them or whatever, it's best to just like tell
Oh yeah.
them how to, and that way you could like keep pushing them to explore more on that interest they have.
Exactly that. And it's not like it used to be like back in the days when people are real secretive about how they did everything. Now it's, no one's like that. Everybody will answer questions. Like I'm happy to answer any questions people have. If I have an answer, I'll give it to you. Just because it doesn't benefit us as a group or as hobbyists to keep secrets. Like if you need to know something, ask. Everybody's out there super helpful. Anybody that I've talked to have been super helpful for me. So listening to your show, I get a lot of tips. Like when Armando starts talking about paint, I got a lot from that. And that's kind of how I got into the whole flake and candy thing. But I haven't looked back because the flake and candy is my favorite thing to do now. So
Hmm. That's pretty cool, man. Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to hear that. That even with the podcast, things like that,
oh yeah, no, this is doing a
yes,
lot for people,
has helped a lot.
exposing it to everybody,
It's pretty
especially
cool,
since your fan base is a lot bigger than mine. So
man. Dang. Is there any shout outs you want to give out before we wrap this episode up, Matt?
definitely my dad. Without him, I wouldn't be working on these things now. And then just all my friends that I keep in touch with. We're always just talking about cars and plans and new ideas, parts, anything we can come up with. It's just fun to sit here and just talk nonsense with people, and you just randomly come up with really good ideas, and then you can turn it into something that's real. So we all, for them, big kudos. Because without them, we wouldn't keep coming up with really cool, fresh ideas. So
Man, that's pretty cool, man. And I wanna just like thank everybody who asked questions and also joined the chat and like is watching live. If you guys want to check out Matt on Instagram, check out his model car builds. It's at 97JZX100_Matt. So make sure you check that out. And obviously I'm gonna tag you on the description and everything because I definitely want people to see your stuff.
yeah, I'll try to put more model stuff up too, because it was mainly, like I said, started for full size cars, but
Hmm.
that's a lot more expensive to progress with, and I have a goal of doing at least 6 cars this year. So anything that I do with that, I'll put up there just to make sure that I keep fresh stuff up there for people to
Nice.
check out. Certainly if they have questions, please don't hesitate to contact me. I'll help you where I can.
Awesome, man. I appreciate that right there.
Yeah.
Um, well, thank you, bro. Thank you for being on the podcast.
Thanks for having me, man.
That was cool, man. I mean, I'm looking at the clock and I'm like going, dang, like
Oh
it's
shit,
almost
it's almost
midnight.
midnight. It
Yeah, no, but it was all good though.
happened quick, didn't it? Of
Yeah. Thanks for sharing, like showing us your stuff.
course.
You
Hopefully I
know,
got some fresh stuff for everybody this year.
yeah, and hopefully, you come out to California. If it's not this year, then hopefully next year. Like I
Yeah.
mean, Southern California.
Yeah, of course. Well, I'm
You
gonna
know,
be down there for Toyota Fest.
when's that taking place?
That's if I get in. Apparently they're on an approval process now where you had to
Okay.
submit pictures, and for the car I just bought, I had
Um,
to I had to submit pictures from the export yard because I don't have any official from my
yeah. It's
own
right here.
farm.
Let
But
me. Is it in LA or where's this taking place?
it's in Long Beach at the Queen Mary.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It's not too far. It's like an hour
I've been
away
to
from
Toyota
where I'm
Fest
at.
like 6 or 7 times. It's a really good event.
You got to plug
Uh,
me in on Instagram with
100%. I got you.
yeah. I wanna check that out.
Yeah,
Toyota.
you'll see a lot of unique stuff out there, like my cars. If they get approved, we'll see.
Dang.
Um,
Okay.
you'll get some inspiration if you want to build some cool Toyotas. That's a good place to look at cars and get
Yeah.
some ideas, because there's some guys come up with some wild stuff that shows up there.
Yeah. That's cool. I gotta check that. I'm imagining they got an Instagram account for sure,
Maybe
or maybe they're low key.
it's what do they call it? Torque Toyota Owners and Restorers Club or something like that.
Hmm.
Um, let me check for you real quick,
Please.
see if I saved it or not. Oh man, they changed the menus on this and I never. Let's see. Saved. Did I save it is the question. Here it is. Oh, sorry, that was the event that was on May 20th. Marina Green Park, Long Beach, All Toyota Fest, 27th annual. I'm gonna forward you the thing right now, Edgar.
Cool. Yeah, I want to check that out, man.
Yeah, that would be a cool thing. They got a guy that comes out from Arizona that does a lot of vending with diecast, Jeff.
Okay.
But at some point, it'd be cool to see if we can get like a model show going as part of the whole event.
Yeah, that'd be pretty sick.
That would be
Yeah.
pretty fun because I think a lot of people would be really interested in that, especially since a lot of the big model car culture seems to be in Southern California instead of up here.
Yeah.
That would be pretty cool. The only thing that sucks is it's outside, and if it's windy,
Oh yeah.
you have to be careful with that. So there would be some disadvantages, but if we could make that work, that would be really fun. 'Cause
Yeah.
I'm curious to
Yeah,
see
that would suck if things start flying around everywhere.
just catch a stiff wind and everything comes off
You're
the
like, what the hell?
table.
Oh yeah, I see this, man. All Toyota Fest.
Yeah, so
And
it's Toyota, Lexus, anything made by Toyota. Classics. You get. I went years ago and they had. That's kind of where I got this like bug that I needed to import a car because I
Mhm.
saw a guy that had it was a Toyota Century, like a
Yeah.
mobster car. The thing is it's so cool. The back is the place to ride because it's got like reclining seats in the back, heated and cooled. There's a pass through on the passenger front seat, so you can lay down in the back seat and your legs can. The front seat's basically your footrest. There's like TVs. It's the coolest car. And there was a guy, he drove it all the way down from Colorado or something. But you look at these things, you're like, man, that's cool. And it's just a stock Toyota. You wouldn't be so impressed if you didn't see it in person. But
Yeah.
it's
It's
definitely
interesting.
fun. And if
Yeah.
I'll be down there if anybody's down there. You know what I look like now because I tend not to show my face
Yeah.
on the internet, but
You're like super low key on your
yeah,
Instagram. You never
I don't
post.
usually, yeah, I don't
You
usually
never.
a lot
You're
of
never
self-advertising.
posting. You're never posting selfies. No.
Not my thing. It's not for me, but
Yeah,
yeah, if anybody goes there, come find me. Certainly,
that's cool, man.
we can chop it up over anything car related. So
Dope.
yeah,
Yeah, I just started following them. Good thing you sent me this.
Yep.
The plug
yeah.
right here.
Worth the save. Yeah, if you're, I'll give you a call. I usually come down a few days early so I can go down and see everybody.
Yeah.
A lot of friends.
Maybe
down.
come out. We could check out that Initial D cafe.
Oh, dude, we gotta go.
Yeah, it's not too far from
I
there.
played that game for way too long to not go there.
Yeah,
that
you gotta
game.
check it out.
Definitely. So,
All
yeah.
right.
Cool, man.
All right, man. Well, thank you, man. You have a good night. It was
too,
cool
man.
talking to you, and we'll keep in touch, man.
Right on, man. It sounds good.
All right.
All right, man.
Awesome.
We'll see you. Have a good night.